All right, everybody. I am going to do a presentation for everybody, all my Facebook friends, on salespeople breaking out of obscurity, how to market on Facebook. So, hey, my name's Scott Klein. If you don't know me, hello, welcome to my world. I've been in the automobile space since my maiden voyage. My maiden voyage was back in 1983, and since then I've done a little bit of everything. Sales, obviously. I've been a finance manager, finance director. I've been a new car sales manager, used car sales manager. My current position is I am a corporate trainer for a group here in Metro Atlanta for the last 10 years. And I've been on Facebook, I think, since '09, and I've watched a lot of people do a lot of things over the years. And I've been kind of taking notes and taking names, and I wanted to share with you. I'm actually going to do this for our group, but I wanted to share it with you guys first because I want to get a little feedback before I present it to the group. I'd like to refine it a little bit because this is the maiden voyage, so to say. And I'm sure there's some things I probably forgot and I left out, and some things I could probably tweak. So, hey, what better way to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly than to share it with everybody out there in Facebook world? Because, hey, let's face it, you guys know a lot more than I do. So I figure I'll show it to you guys first, make some tweaks, and then present it to our group. So without further ado, let's get into the presentation. So, first of all, Facebook is free, and it's a way to, in my opinion, it's a way to level the playing field to break out of obscurity. One of the things you might have heard this term before, Grant Cardone, I think, is the one that said it about, one of the biggest problems that salespeople have is nobody knows you, nobody knows what you do and where you do it. So with the power of social media and Facebook in particular, because that's where most people seem to be hanging out these days, you as a salesperson can get to know a multitude of people that you would never, ever have the opportunity to get to know before this platform existed. So when I first got in the business back in the '80s, I'm thinking now, like, wow, if I would have had this thing back then, oh my gosh, what a game changer. And I really feel that there's so many salespeople out there that haven't tapped into the power of what they can do with Facebook and social media, that I guess that alone has prompted me to, kind of put this together and maybe light a fire under some people's heinies to say, hey, you know what? Other people are having success with this platform. Why can't I do it? And you guys that are probably listening to me, most of you know who I'm talking about, the Bill Halves of the world, and the let's see, the Sean Hayeses of the world. And, I could go on and on and on, people that were really nobody not too very long ago. I mean, I've been following Bill ever since he was a salesperson at Hyundai, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago when he first got in the business. And I've watched his journey and basically how he's catapulted from, the low guy on the totem pole to, sales trainer extraordinaire, probably, I don't know, 5 years, 6 years at the most. I don't think it's been any longer than that. So without further ado, let's go and jump into the presentation here, which, hey, what's the problem? The biggest problem is, and again, Grant said, obscurity. Not enough people know what you do and where you do it. So with the power and leverage that you can create through Facebook by getting to know a multitude of people in really a very short period of time, that is certainly one way to level the playing field. And let's face it, folks, Facebook is the ultimate, it is the ultimate meat market where you can get to know people so they can get to know you. They can like you and trust you before they even show up to your store. Because let's face it, the way the business model has worked all these years, people would come into a dealership and they would basically have a chip on their shoulder. They either had a bad experience, they either read about a bad experience or they were told about a bad experience about how dealerships ripped them off and how they were all only out there to take their money. And with all that being said, now, people, the general public, they can get to know people through the power of Facebook before they even show up to buy a vehicle. I mean, what stronger testimony would you like to, be able to, engage with people that, hey, when they show up for the first time, they already have a pretty good idea who you are and what you're like and what your personality is. And you break down those walls of the stereotypical salesperson before they even show up. So with that being said, Facebook usage as a business opportunity. When I first started doing what I'm doing, which is, again, sales training and recruiting and that kind of thing 10 years ago, mostly back then, think about 10 years ago, what's this, 2019? So that was 2009. Facebook had only been out there for a few years at that point. And, number one, salespeople, I remember salespeople back then, they were trying to leverage Facebook into selling cars. But back then, they weren't having a lot of success because, again, it hadn't been out that long and not as many people were on it like they are today. But I would hear from time to time that, salespeople would have haphazard, success. They'd sell, hey, I sold a car off of Facebook here, sold a car off of Facebook there, kind of thing. But today, it's crazy what salespeople are doing. But, the other big thing was, 10 years ago, most people were using Facebook for basically friends and family, to kind of, catch up and see what friends and family are doing. Or I remember in my case, I went to a high school. It was actually a boarding school back in the 70s. And, back then, obviously, there was no social media or anything like that. Well, when I ended up leaving that school, I lost contact with all these people, all these friends that I had up there. And over the years, again, I had no idea, where they went and what they did, and had no idea about anything. Well, guess what? Along comes Facebook, and I've like reconnected with everybody. So back then, 10 years ago, Facebook was a friends and family platform, which it still is today. There's no question about it. It still is that same friends and family platform, but it really is more of a business opportunity platform, in my opinion, on being able to get in front of people from a business perspective today than it ever has been, since the inception of the platform. So, you want to keep the friends and family in your Facebook sphere, but you really want to be thinking in terms of more of business opportunities, how to get additional business opportunities, how to get people to, again, like you and trust you. That's what it's all about. So let's talk about some best practices of what not to do or not to display, and what to do and what to display on your Facebook page. So first things first, you probably already figured this out. No discussions regarding politics. Hey, I got a friend out there, Sean Van Sock. I'm not sure I can pronounce his name, man. He's a Buckeye, so what do you expect, man? He's got a crazy name to try to pronounce. But my man Sean, one of my good friends out there in Facebook world, I mean, he is Mr. Political. He's probably the only guy I have in my friends list that I actually allow political stuff. I got rid of everybody else just because I got sick and tired of seeing all the stuff. But I like Sean, and I don't mind him posting what he posts. He's, like I said, he's probably the only guy that can get away with it in my friends group, because I got rid of all it's negativity for the most part, and it causes a lot of dissension. So if you're a political guy and you want to talk politics and being a salesperson at the same time, I'm going to tell you, do it with caution. I'm going to tell you, don't do it at all. Because if you follow me at all, and you have followed me at all over the years, you'll notice I do not get into any discussions regarding politics, with a rare exception to the rule. Sometimes I'll chirp in on something, but I really kind of dip my toe in the water and then I pull it out real quick. I don't really stick around too long for any discussion, because it's negative for the most part, and you want to really stay away from any of that negativity. Same thing with sexual posts or discussions. That kind of goes without saying on, you know, talking about different sexual things. Hey, because you're looking at this more for a business platform, unfortunately, and again, hey, maybe you're listening to me saying, hey, that just ain't me and I'm not going to do it. I'm still going to talk about politics. I'm still going to talk about sex. I'm still going to talk about religious, and I'm going to do what I want to do. Hey, do what you want to do. I'm just telling you what I would do. If I was a new salesperson and I was going to leverage the power of Facebook, I'm telling you right now, I wouldn't talk about politics. I wouldn't talk about sexual stuff. I certainly wouldn't talk about religious stuff. And racism and being racy is a definite no-no. And I think y'all would agree that's probably the worst one on there. So with that being said, don't post inconsistently, like once a week, you know, or maybe once every couple of weeks or 3 weeks. Hey, if you want to leverage the power of Facebook, you know, doing it inconsistently and haphazardly, you're not going to see any results. You really have to be consistent. And I'm going to tell you, you should post at least, I'm going to say at least once a day. 3 to 5 posts a day, I think, is more desirable, because again, if you just post once a day, you're only going to have a few people seeing it. And, you know, again, it's, I don't know how exactly the Facebook algorithms work, but, you know, if you've got a ton of friends and you post something, it's not like every single one of your friends is seeing it. You know, Facebook is kind of, you know, shorten the game down, because I think they want more people to have business pages and pay to play, so to say. So with that being said, you know, you got to post probably a little more than once a day. I'm going to say 3 to 5 is probably desirable. If someone else out there has a better idea on that, hey, feel free to share. So when it comes to posting, it's, you know, again, it's time to think content. You know, what are you going to post when you post? So don't post the same things over and over again. That gets boring. And if you keep posting the same things over and over again, people are going to get turned off, and you're probably going to get unfriended, and or they're just going to, you know, silence you or whatever you do so your stuff doesn't show up. So what you should post about is really, I'm going to break it down into maybe 3 different things. Personal stuff, you know, maybe what you had for dinner last night. I'm not crazy about those posts, but some people like to see them. I mean, hey, let's face it. You know, you could post about a restaurant that you went and maybe even do a little review on the food there. And somebody else that knows you might say, hey, that was a great post, because now I'm going to go check that place out. So obviously your personal stuff, your dog, your cat, maybe where you went to eat, you know, maybe what you do on the weekend, that kind of stuff. And I'm going to say, you know, you can break this down, and you could, hey, if you want, I mean, hey, what I'm sharing with you is just kind of what I've learned from experience and what I've seen other people do. But if you think you want to add, you know, a 4th thing on there, you know, maybe you put your hobbies. I would say that would kind of fall under personal, but maybe you want to put your hobbies as a 4th thing up there, and you do 25% of each. But I've got personal 33%, your sales and vehicles, you want to post that 33%, other interests, again, that could fall under hobbies. But you know, you really want to post stuff that is more, you know, informational. Some of the things that you could do is, you know, I thought about this. I haven't really seen too many people do it. Maybe there's guys or gals out there doing it. I just haven't seen it. But, you know, one of the things you could do is, you know, do little videos on little how-tos on your vehicle. You know, stuff that most people probably know, but not everybody knows. But like setting a clock on a new vehicle. Hey, let's face it. If you're selling a new, I sell, you know, I'm with Nissan, so I'm going to give you a Nissan. But if I'm selling a new Altima or a new Maxima or a new Frontier, hey, how do you set the clock on that? Most people probably know, but hey, I bet there's a lot of people that don't know. So one thing you could do is you could post a little video on how to set a clock. One of the things I've always thought about lately, especially in the last few years, is changing a tire. I had a demo a few years ago. We had a Kia dealership, and the demo that I was driving was an Altima, or I mean an Optima. And I came out to go to work one day, and the car had a flat tire. And I'm like, oh, hey, no problem, man. I got this. I know how to change the tire. So, you know, I opened up the trunk and pulled the felt back, and I'm like, oh, whoa, where's the spare, baby? There was no spare back there. And as I looked a little deeper in there, it didn't have one. All it had was, you know, is one of those blow up dial things. You know, you just you pull the thing out and you put it on the tire and you know, you blow it up. Well, I probably could have figured that out too, but I didn't really want to mess with it, so I just called the 1-800 number. But let's face it, a lot of vehicles these days don't have spare tires in them. They got the little blow up dial back there. So maybe somebody could do a little video on how to execute that, so people, if they have that challenge, guess what? So again, put information out there, put good information out there, and people will follow you and comment on your stuff. So do post about your personal life. Post about the good, the bad, and the ugly, man. I mean, hey, let's face it, people like to see a little drama. I'm not talking about bad drama, but you know, post real stuff. And people, hey, like I said, people want to know who you are and kind of how you tick. And if you post just one certain thing, they're not seeing the whole picture. I'll be honest with you, I have a tendency to do that. I don't really post anything negative. If I was in sales, I would probably post a little differently than what I do as a manager, because again, I'd probably want to share other parts of the story that I don't necessarily post with my current position. So people want to get to know you. Let them know you, baby. Show them everything. So here's the other thing. Here's the next thing. You want to go through your feed and you want to clean it up, right? If you're going to start to maximize the power of Facebook, and you're one of those guys or gals that has a lot of political posts on your feed, go through there and clean it up. Let's face it, you know, when people land on your page, how far down are they going to go? It's kind of like doing a Google search, right? They're going to go down. Like if you go search for a 2019 Nissan Altima, you're interested in a car, and you know, you type that into Google and the first page pops up, you're going to look on that first page, and you might go to the second page, and you might go to the third page, but most people don't go any further than that. So when it comes to cleaning up your Facebook page, you don't have to go real deep in order to clean it up. You probably just got to go down, you know, a few weeks and, you know, clean the stuff up, man. Get rid of the political posts, get rid of the sexual innuendo post, get rid of the, oh, I got political on there twice. I should have put religious over here on this side over here. I see a mistake I got to go ahead and fix. So get rid of the religious stuff. And then, hey, more importantly, probably the biggest one of any is the racism, man. If you're embroiled in any type of race related post, get rid of it, baby. That is the kiss of death. Goes without saying, but I'd be surprised how many people I see, you know, trying to sell stuff and they're talking about racy stuff in the background. I'm like, dude, you need to just cut that stuff off. So with that being said, let's talk about your cover photo. Now, just so you guys know, I've been in contact with Frank, and I've got a lot of his stuff on here, and I've got his good graces. So don't get all freaked out that I've been cutting and pasting, and Frank's going to freak out because he doesn't know, you know, that I've done that. Well, I even told him, hey, I want to send you this, Frank, so you can look at it and just get your good graces before I present it. But he even said, hey, man, I trust you, and go ahead and roll with it. So with that being said, I wanted to kind of pick on Frank a little bit because he's well known in the automotive space, sells 100 cars a month plus. If you don't know him, you need to know him and kind of follow what he's doing. But first things first, if your cover photo doesn't represent something about the automobile business and maybe where you work and what you do, this is one of the big things you need to change. Because again, when somebody lands on your page, you want them to see what you're doing and where you're doing it. And if you land on Frank's page, what do you see? He works at Piazza Honda of Springfield. He's got his phone number right there in big bold letters, and boom. The next thing that you want to fix and spruce up a little bit is your bio section, which is, again, on the left-hand side over there. So you want to put where you work, Piazza Honda of Springfield. The thing you want to be kind of careful not to do is, and I've seen this on a couple people's pages where they've got listed every single position that they've ever had. Now, Frank's been at Piazza Honda, I think, for almost 20 years. So that's why he doesn't have anything under it, because I think that's probably the only place he's really been. And because of that, he's only got that one position on there. But I've seen some people's Facebook page on their bio section where it says, former salesperson or whatever at ABC, Honda, and former finance manager at XYZ Nissan, and there's like 6 or 7, or I counted with this one guy. This one guy had like 15 on there, man. It was 15 former places, and I'm thinking, dude, do you bounce around or what? So you can put 2 or 3 of them on there. If you look at mine, for example, I got 3 or 4 of them. I've probably, I've been in the business 30 some years, and I've been with my current group, 10 years now, and 5, 6, 7 years when I first got in the business. So, but in between there, I bounced around a little bit. I'll be more than honest to admit that, but I don't have every single place I worked at. So just clean that up, put 2 or 3 of them on there, and go to the next thing, which is going to be the about section. You want to go ahead and put your about section on there and get all the relevant information. Now, if you look at Frank's, he's got his phone number out there, right? Hey, listen, guys, you're salespeople. You want people to know you, and you want to be able to be contacted if somebody wants to get in contact with you. So if you look at my page, I've got my phone number on there, and I know a lot of other people that do, but I also know a lot of salespeople that don't put their phone number on there, baby. Hey, what are you scared of, man? Go get you a Google number if you don't want to put your personal number on there. I don't know. That's probably a personal number, because he's got like a vanity number, 484-368-9000. That's a number that you're gonna remember for sure. But how much personal information you're going to put on Facebook, again, that's all up to you. I'm going to tell you, and I think Frank would agree, that the more the better. Don't be afraid of stalkers, I guess. I mean, women, if you're a female looking at this, you maybe take a little more caution. You don't probably give out your personal number, but I would definitely have a Google number or some phone number on there to where they can get in touch with you. So the next section on there is work and education. Again, I would go ahead and fill that out, have your current place of employment, where you went to school. Hey, what's good about where you went to school kind of thing. Again, if you got someone that's kind of, checking you out, maybe wants to know a little bit about you, and they start looking through your page here, and they go to this page, work and education. And, Frank doesn't have this on here, but maybe you went to, University of Michigan, baby. Maybe you went to the University of Michigan, and maybe this guy or gal that's looking at your profile, maybe they went to Big Blue, and they're like, damn, that's a Michigan Wolverine I'm talking to. Hey, that's rapport building right there, and you guys haven't even met. So a good reason to fill this stuff out, because you never know who's looking at your page. And when someone looks at it, if there's something in common, guess what? We all know that having common ground is a way to build rapport and gain rapport. Places that you live, same thing here. Frank, again, only has one thing on here, but a lot of us have lived in several different parts of the country. And if you've got somebody looking at your page and they're kind of trolling you a little bit, trying to figure out who you are and what you do and where you do it, if you've got a city on here that maybe they lived, or maybe they know about, maybe they like, guess what? That could be a rapport builder. That could be a reason for them to reach out to you. And again, you got your phone number on there, and hey, you get a phone, your phone rings, and you don't know who it is. Hey, you pick it up, and you hear the person on the other line. Hey, this is John Doe, man. The reason I was calling is because I was kind of checking your Facebook page out, and I was kind of interested in the vehicle. Hey, I see you used to live over there in Timbuktu, Iowa. I used to live out there, man. That's a pretty boring place, isn't it? So definitely fill that out and find ways to enhance people to get in contact with you and build rapport. Contact and basic information. Again, how much info do you put here? That's up to you, like I said, but don't leave it blank. Again, Frank's got his phone numbers, got an address. I don't know, Glen Hills, Pennsylvania, United States doesn't have his full address. I probably wouldn't put your home address on there either. Maybe you put the dealership. It's got his birth date on there. I think I've got he's just got the month and the day I actually got my year so people can figure out if they land on my page that I'm actually 61 years old. Even though I don't look it and act it, it is what it is. Family and relationships. Family and relationships. Hey, again, this is another area where could be a rapport builder. You know, again, maybe someone lands on here and they know someone else in your family. You know, Frank's got he's got everybody on there is a Crinetti except Carrie Berg's sister, so she obviously got married. But you know, hey, again, maybe someone lands on this page and they know, you know, the Berg family or something like that. You know, hey, you never know. Stranger things have happened. Details. This is an area right here. Frank didn't do a whole lot here. No big deal. But this is an area where, you know, you got kind of like your about section. He's got on there, the sky's the limit. And he didn't have a quote down there. Hey, Frank, I added a quote there for you. To have a friend, you need to be a friend, by Mr. Emerson. So, you know, you can put your favorite quote down there. But this is another area where you could get and let people know a little bit about you in a text format, you know, tell you a little story and let people know you a little better. Life events is the next one. And again, this is another opportunity where you can add stuff where if people land on this, hey, it could be a rapport builder. Hey, how about photos, baby? How about photos? You know, again, if you look on Frank's page, he's got a lot of photos of people he sold cars to, which again, you want a combination here of a little bit of everything. You want work, you want family, you got hobbies. You can see on there in the second row there, he looks like he's at an Eagles game. That's probably, Frank, I bet that was the game where Detroit beat you guys, baby. You know, I'm from Detroit area, so I was kind of surprised that they won that game. But that might have been the Eagles game that the Lions got lucky and they won in Philadelphia because they don't win on the road too often. But again, your photos. Hey, what a great way to, you know, showcase what you do and where you do it, your family and that kind of things. Down there at the bottom, I say, hey, get rid of anything over the top, you know, sexual photos, that kind of thing. If you're, you know, excessive partier, if you're drinking all the time in the bar, probably not stuff you want on your page. Again, you're trying to get business, not show off what you do on your free time in terms of extracurricular activities. You know what I mean? So let's talk about Facebook friends and some strategies on, you know, who to friend and how to do the whole friend thing. So over there on the left hand side of the screen, I got Facebook do's and Facebook don'ts. So here's the thing, you know, when I first started friending people, I didn't even know. When I got into Facebook in 2009, I had no clue that there was actually a congregation, if you will, of people in the car business. I just I'm trying to remember. I think it was a guy named David Long. A lot of you guys know David, and he's probably the one guy that when I connected with him, I kind of was looking at his stuff and seeing, you know, who he was connected with, and I think he was the one guy that kind of spearheaded me finding all these other people in the car business. And you know, that's a great lesson in itself, because one of the things that you want to do is, and I think I've got it over there on the left-hand side somewhere, is, you know, the as a salesperson, right? As a salesperson, I don't sell. So, you know, this isn't my strategy, but I think it should be yours. If you're selling, is your strategy should be to friend people in your own backyard. You don't want people in outer Mongolia like I probably used to have, and you don't want people in Asia and you know, all over the freaking world, man. Because are they going to buy a car from you? You know, hey, I guess the straight answer is they could, but chances are they won't. Who's going to buy a vehicle from you guys? If I'm in Atlanta, you know, so if I'm selling vehicles in Atlanta, which is a pretty big metropolitan area, 7 million people in metro Atlanta, I want to friend people that are going to be in the metro Atlanta area, because if they see what I'm doing and they see where I'm doing it at, hey, there's a pretty good chance if they're looking for a Nissan, well, guess what? It's a hop, skip, and a jump to get in the car and come see me, right? But if I've got a friend in you know, Timbuktu, Mongolia, they ain't buying a car from me. So first things first, vet all your current friends that you have. You know, again, this is a little work if you got a lot, but I would get rid of all the people that probably will never, ever have a shot at buying a car from you. And again, probably take a little work, but trust me, it will go a long way and pay big dividends. Unfriend all blank profiles. I go through my Facebook, even I do this occasionally, is once every month or two. I'll go through and I'll look at all my friends, and if they've got that no picture on their profile, that typically means they've deactivated their account and they're not active anymore. And with that being said, I'm getting rid of them and I'm going to get somebody that's active. Again, I already mentioned get rid of people that aren't in your backyard. Here's the thing I've noticed about a lot of salespeople in the car business is they got a lot of connections. In fact, I would be willing to bet probably a bigger percentage than I would recommend of other salespeople in the car business. You definitely want to be connected with people in the car business and top performers, that's for sure. But I would keep the number probably somewhere around 100, because you really want to shoot, as it says down there at the bottom on the left-hand side, you really want to shoot for 5,000 contacts, because you can get 5,000 contacts on Facebook. So I would want to shoot for that number. I'd probably keep the people in the car business probably somewhere around 100-ish in that area. And you can friend, again, I was doing some research on this, and I didn't really find a definitive answer, but I think you can probably send out 25 to 50 friend requests a day and kind of be under the radar and not get blocked from Facebook. But, if you just send out a gazillion Facebook friend requests, they're going to shut you down. They're going to throw you in jail, Facebook jail, and deactivate you for a while. So, again, hey, to get up to 5,000, it's going to take a little work. It's going to take a little time. If you're still in the, if you got, 1,500 or, 1,000 or less than 1,000, if you got a real low number, hey, it's going to take you a while. But again, I'm telling you right now, it's going to pay huge dividends when you start friending people in your own backyard. And, hey, how do you do it? There's different ways, and I don't really have it on here. I'm just talking to you. But, you can go into the friend search and you can search for people in your area, your town. I think you can probably even do a zip code. But, obviously if you sell somebody a car, one of the things you got to be asking these people are, hey, are you on Facebook? And most of them are going to say yes. And hey, well, I tell you what, how about I send you a friend request? That way we can kind of keep in contact on the social media platform. And it's also another way to get a hold of me. If you got to get a hold of me, that's a good place to do it because I'm on there a lot. So they're more likely going to say yes to that, right? And when they do, you can kind of, again, you can kind of look at who their friends are. And if you kind of go through their friends list a little bit and you see people on there that are locally, well, you can throw some friend requests out to them. So again, those are ways that you can friend people that are going to be in your own backyard that you can sell vehicles to down the road. So what not to do, don't keep people that don't engage. You shouldn't have people on there. And again, this takes a little work to find out who your engagers are and who they aren't. But if people aren't engaging, then they're probably someone I'm going to pass on because again, they're not on there. So, hey, let's get people on there that are going to engage with you, and people that are on there that are, putting stuff out there themselves. If you're thinking about friending somebody and you go and look at their page, and the last thing on there was from 3 months ago, they're probably not too active on there, and you might want to think twice about sending them a request because more than likely they're not going to respond to it because they're not on there that much. Second bullet point over there on the right, unfriend people that spew negativity or questionable content. Someone posted one time about, they were kind of complaining about all the negativity that they see every day. It's like they open up their Facebook and they start scrolling their feed, and it's like this person's bitching and moaning and that person's bitching and moaning, and it's like a bitching and moaning contest. And I'm like, I said, hey, go in there and unfriend those people, man. I mean, I had the same problem at one point, 3 or 4 years ago, or 2 or 3 years ago. I had the same kind of problem where I had all this negativity and all these racist videos popping up, and I got embroiled in some conversations, and I started thinking, like, what the heck's going on here? What am I doing? And I had this epiphany. I'm like, I'm getting rid of these people, man. And I started deleting them all. And now if you looked at my feed, if you look at my Facebook feed now, you know, everything on there is like positive, you know, all these people posting positive memes, and, you know, it's like, it's very uplifting to open it up now because it makes you feel good. And hey, that's what you want. You don't want to, you know, have all this negative stuff going on. So get rid of the people that are spewing that negativity. You'll feel a lot better, and you look forward to, you know, going through your feed. Don't accept friend requests from people that you don't know that probably will never buy a car from you again. I still get these weird requests from people like, what the heck are you doing, man? You know, you're just trying to, they're just going for a number, right? They're just trying to pad their numbers and friends or whatever. Let those slide by. So more definitive here, you know, when you click on your friends page, up here, you know, this is going to pop open with all your friends. The one thing I wanted to kind of show you here is, you know, friend requests sent. If you come over here and you click on this is going to tell you all the friends requests that you sent. You want to kind of monitor that, because again, if you send out, Facebook will they've got a limit on how many friend requests you can send out. I don't know what the number is, might be 100, might be 150 or whatever. But I remember one day, this is how I learned this, was I wasn't paying attention to this, and I kept sending friend requests, slow down. So I was sending them out, but I wasn't paying attention. And what happened was, one day I went to send a friend request to somebody, and Facebook said, you've reached your limit. So I went back and I looked, and I had all these friend requests out there that people haven't responded to. So I just started deleting them. You know, in fact, I think I deleted everybody and just started a fresh batch. So, you know, again, if you're going to be friending like 20 to 25 people a day, whatever you're going to do, it's going to add up kind of quickly. In that case, here's how I would handle it. If I was a new salesperson and I was, you know, going to send out 20, 25 friend requests every day, I would probably go back in like on the third day and go back to the first 20 or 25 that I sent requests out. And if they haven't responded, like say in 3 days, maybe you want to do 4 days or whatever, then I would delete the request. I would just go ahead, delete it, and again, move on. Because again, if they're not going to respond in 3 or 4 days, there's no reason to just let it hang in there, because again, that's going to add up and go against you when you want to friend somebody that you really want to become friends with. So if people don't respond to your friend, yeah, okay, I said that down there at the bottom. You got it? Let's go to the next page. So here's, you know, how you do it. First things first, go here to this little icon. Where's my cursor? See that? Go here to this little icon, number one. Number two is, this is the next thing I want to talk about, which is settings. You know, hey, this whole settings, I could probably do a whole 30-minute video on this. So I just want to show you one thing here. Second thing is go to number 2 in settings. Number 3 is go down here to public post, and then make sure that this over here is on public. You want to make sure, again, you're a salesperson, man. You want everybody to see your stuff. You don't want to be restricted to certain people. You want everybody to see your stuff. So make sure that you got that on public. I think it defaults there, but I'm not sure. Hey, the other thing, man, my man Sean Van Sock. Sean, how do you pronounce your last name, man? He was telling me about all the success. I've heard this from other people. It's not just Sean. I've heard it from a few people, but Facebook Marketplace. Now, this is something personally I haven't done. I've just heard it from other people. But again, folks, this is free. This is free advertisement. And you can go on there and you can take photos, or you can just upload photos from your website onto Facebook Marketplace of your vehicles. And guess what? When the people call, excuse me, when the people call or text or whatever they do, guess who's getting the information? You are. Now, here's the thing. This right here, from what Sean was telling me, this is going to keep you very busy, because you're going to get a lot of people responding to your post that you put on there. So it is like everything else. It's a numbers game. You're going to have to go through a lot of, you know, junk to find the gold, kind of to say. But hey, if you want your phone to ring, if you want people reaching out to you, Facebook Marketplace is the place to make that happen. So let's talk about Facebook management a little bit. manage Facebook like all other car dealer metrics. If I was a manager in your store, and when I reveal this to my managers, they're going to be scratching their head because they'll be like, "What's he talking about?" But and hey, you guys might even say the same thing. But here's what I think, and here's what I would do, because I see the power of this platform is I think Facebook should be managed kind of like you manage your salespeople. How many phone calls they make in a day? You all hear, oh, they make 25 phone. They got to make 25 phone calls a day. They got to send out 20 emails a day. These activities of what should be measured in the typical car world, right? Old school. I'm kind of old school, right? We had to make 25 calls every day, and we had to send out letters to everybody that we sold. And we had to send out letters to everybody that walked in the dealership. I mean, there was certain metrics that we got managed on by a daily basis. Well, guess what, folks? I think as a manager, you should be managing your salespeople to be making sure that they're doing certain things on Facebook every day, like building their friend list up. I mean, hey, that's something that you can measure. Just think about the power of having each of your salespeople getting up to. I've got an example right here. Let's say you got 14 salespeople, and all 14 have an average of 3,000 friends in their database or whatever. That's 42,000 between the 14 salespeople, which means if they post 2 or 3 times a day, you, from a free standpoint, right, from not spending a dime, you got 42,000 possibilities of your dealership's vehicles and content going out to the local market. So from a management perspective, I would be training on making sure your salespeople are posting 2 or 3 times a day on different things about your products and services and about their personal life and that kind of thing. And I would train them on how to, skill up and scale their Facebook page, because, hey, let's face it, I really believe, we spend, I know in our stores, we spend, each month somewhere in the 6-figure mark on advertising. That's a lot of money to be spending every month. And I really feel that from a dealership standpoint, because of the power of Facebook and social media, you can cut the advertising expenses tremendously, because hey, all these people that you're marketing to, or these third-party vendors that they're capturing this information, these people are all on Facebook, man. They're already out there. So if you can get your content in front of them, guess what? You got a leg up on them coming to see you anyway, because they want to know who you are anyway. So with that being said, there's a lot of opportunities there in terms of managing your salespeople and making sure they're doing the right thing on Facebook. So a kind of couple of 2 or 3 final thoughts here. When commenting on your friend's post, be cognizant of your responses. Again, don't be Mr. Negative, and don't be cutting people down, and don't be doing stuff that's going to rub people the wrong way. You got to be a little politically correct here for the most part. That's my opinion. One of my rules is always respond to everybody that comments on your post. If you follow me at all, you'll see I'm kind of the GIF master. That's kind of what I call myself these days, because I GIF everybody. But when I make a post and somebody responds, I respond to every single person. And if I missed you, if you're listening to me and I missed you one time, my bad. But if you look at what I do, I always respond to everybody that makes a comment. Hey, let's face it, you want to be, we're all human. I'm human. If I put something out there, I want to know that people have responded to it, and I want to say, hey, I appreciate it. That's kind of what that does. It lets them know that, hey, I like that you responded to my stuff. I don't always agree with everything that they write, but I respond anyway. Hey, give more than you expect to receive in return. That's the kind of attitude you got to have. And like, man, sometimes I just go through my feed, and I don't necessarily do this. I'm not really practicing what I preach here, but I'm telling you, if I was a salesperson, I would do this. I do more of I'll make more comments than I do likes, but I don't know which one's better. Maybe someone can chime in. But is it better just to go through someone's feed and just kind of like, 10 or 15 of their posts, or is it better just to comment? It's probably better to do both, I'm guessing. But anyway, I kind of do, I just kind of post. I don't really like a whole lot of stuff, even though I do. Take the high road. Again, it kind of goes without saying that you want to take the high road on a lot of things. Hey, Facebook Live, man. I have personally done, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of 300 in the last couple, 3 years. And doing Facebook Lives, I really like them because it gets you out of your comfort zone. Y'all hear about, oh, you got to get out of your, hey, start doing some Facebook Lives, baby. You will get very uncomfortable, I promise you. But it's a good thing in a good way, because let's face it, you'll learn a lot about how to kind of think on the fly and how to communicate better. And again, it's going to do nothing but make you a better person by going live on Facebook. And again, it's a great way to let people know you, let people know who you are. And again, if you're out there and you're doing Facebook Lives and you got people in your friends list that are maybe thinking about a car and they don't really know you, hey, what better way for them to get to know you than being able to showcase your personality by doing Facebook Lives? So, hey, there you go, sports fans. There is my presentation. Hey, give me your feedback. I want to know the good, the bad, and the ugly. I'm a big boy. If you want to trash me out and say, hey, you left a big chunk out, hey, bring it on, baby. I want to hear it. So thanks for listening. I'd like to hear your comments, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Hey, it's Saturday, man. I hope you guys had a great day. So I will catch you on the flip flop.